to you all. Welcome back to UNIX and Shell Programming. This is Anusha. I am working as an assistant professor from Vignan Srinuda in IT department. In the last session, we already discussed about basics of file systems. In that basics, we already discussed about what is file and what is file name and what are the types of files and directories. And later we discussed about what are the common commands we are using in Unix file systems. Okay. And next one is the directory hierarchy or file system hierarchy and file attributes. But in today's session, we are going to discuss about file permissions. So what are the file permissions we are taking in Unix file systems? Here we can take mainly three commands. The first one is chmod command. By using this command, you can change the file permissions. Next one is chmod. By using chmod command, user can easily change the owner of a file. And next one is Chgrp. It is used for changing of group of a file. Now let's see, the first topic is file permissions. In this session, we will discuss in detail about the file permissions and access of a file modes in Unix. Here, file ownership is an important component of Unix that provides a secure method for storing of a files. Each and every file in Unix has following these attributes. The first one is owner permissions. The owner permissions determines what the actions of the owner of the file can perform on the file. Next one is group permissions. The group permissions determine what actions of a user who is a member of the group that can be file belongs to can perform on the file. Next one is other permissions. The permissions for other indicates what actions of all other users can perform on the file. So next topic is permission indicators. So when using ls-l command, it displays various information related to file permissions as follows. So let's see this example. Here we are applying ls-l command in one file. So after you can get the file type and file permissions along with links and owner of a file and group owner of a file and file size of the file and task modification details of file along with file. Here the first column represents different access modes, that is the permissions associated with a file or directory. The permissions are broken into a groups of 3. In each position in the group denotes a specific permissions in this order: read, write and execute. The first 3 characters represent permissions of the file owner. For example, hyphen or wx or minus x or minus minus. It represents the owner has only read, write and execute permissions. The second group of 3 characters, it consists of a permission of the group to which files belongs to. For example, r hyphen or w x r hyphen x or hyphen hyphen. It represents that group has read, write, execute. In this group file only consists of read and execute permissions but no write permissions. The last group of 3 characters will represent for every else. For example, hyphen or wx or hyphen x or hyphen hyphen. It represents that there is no need. There is only read only permission. Here we can take only read permission. Here we cannot take write and execute permissions. Next one is file access modes. The permissions of a file or the first line of defense in the security of Unix file systems. The basic building blocks of the Unix file permissions are read, write and execute permissions, which have been described as below. First one is read. It grants the capability to read, that is view the contents of the file. After that, write grants the capability to modify or remove the content of a file. Next, execute. User can execute permissions can run on a Unix file systems, okay, as a program, Unix file program. Next one is directory access modes. Here directory access modes are listed organized the same manner as any other of a file. So there are a few different that need to be mentioned. The first one is read. Access to a directory, it means the user can read the content. Here the user can look at the files inside the directory. Next one is write. Access means that the user can add or delete the files from the directory. Next, execute. Executing a directory does not really make the sense, so think of this Travis permission. A user must have execute access to bin the directory in the order to execute the ls or cd command. Now let's take the next topic is changing permissions. So to change the file or the directory permissions, here you are using chmod command. There are 2 ways to use chmod command, the symbolic mode and absolute mode. So using chmod in symbolic mode, the easiest way to the beginner to modify the file or a directory permissions is to the user symbolic mode. With the symbolic permissions, you can add or delete or specify the permissions set you want to using these permissions in the following table. So here we can take the plus symbol. So it is used for as the designated permissions of a file or directory. And next one is hyphen or minus. It removes the designated permission from a file or directory. And next one is equal to. It says the designated permissions. Okay. In this above table, this example ch command from the preceding table is run on the test file. It can be followed by ls-l, so you can see the permissions changes. Let's see this example, $chmod o plus wx test file. So it means $ls-l test file. After executing this command, you can get the output of different what is the file type of permissions and links and owner of a file and group owner of a file size along with the lost modification details of a file and file name. Okay, so by using this command, you can add the permissions to the other file type. Here only you can add write and execute permissions to the other file systems. Next one is $chmod u-x of test file. So here you can take a file name is test file. U-x means here you remove the execute permissions from the user file type. So these are the examples for chmod command. Using chmod command, we can take the absolute permissions. So using chmod with absolute permissions, the second way to modify the permissions with the chmod command is to use number of specify each set of permissions for the file. Each permission is assigned a value as the following table shows, and the total each set of the permissions provides the number of for that user. For suppose I have to take no permissions, it will be represented with 0 input value hyphen. Next one is execute permissions. It means the file type only consists of a execute permissions. That means hyphen x. It will be for suppose we can take the input value for only execute permission, that will be 1. So in this way we can take different types of permissions. Okay, so this is the representation of absolute file permissions. Here an example using the test file running ls-l on the test file. It shows the file permissions are as follows. $ls-l the test file. So after applying the ls-l command on test file, you can get the file type, file permissions along with the links and owner file and group owner name and file size, last modification details along with the file name. So this each example chmod command from the preceding table is run on the test file followed by ls-l. So you can see the permission changes. So now let's see the one more example, $chmod 7755 space test file. So here you can take the file name is test file. You can assign the octal number of a test file is 755. So it means here 755 is divided into 3 per 7 is for the user file type, 5 is the group file type and 5 is the other file type. Here 7 can be represented by the absolute mode representation. It means hyphen or wx r minus x or minus 1. So it is the octal representations. By using chmod command, you can change the octal representation of a file to normal file permission file. Okay. So next topic is changing owners and groups. So while creating an account on UNIX, it assigns the owner ID and group ID to each other. All the permissions mentioned above are also assigned based on the owners and the groups. Two commands are available to change the owner and group files. The first one is chmod. Chmod command stands for change owner and it is used for change the owner of a file. Next one is chgrp. The chgrp command stands for change group. It is used for change the group of a file. So now let's see the next one is changing owner of a file. By using chmod command, you can change the owner of a file. The basic syntax is as follows: $chmod space user space file list. The value of user can be either the name of the user on the file system or the user ID of a user of the system. The following example will help you understand the concept. $chmod amroot and test file. Here you can change the owner of the file to the user of amroot. Note that the super user root has the unrestricted capability to change the ownership of any file, but normal user can easily change the ownership of those files that they own. Okay, next one is changing of a group ownership. Here chgroup command changes the group owner of a file. The basic syntax is as follows: $chgrp space group space file list. The value of group can be name of the group on the system or the group ID of a group on the system. Following example helps you understand the concept. $chgrp special test file. Here special is the group owner of a file name and the file name is the test file. So these are the main commands we are using in file permissions. They are chmod, chow and chgrp. I hope you understood what is file type and what are the permissions we are taking in Unix file systems, and how you can access the files, and how you can change the file types, and how you can change the owner of a file, and how you can change the group owner of a file. In the next session we will discuss about inodes and inode numbers and data structure of inode. Unix file system contain the permissions of a file. Okay, so after listening this lecture, to evaluate yourself by using these questions, the first question is explain the commands. What are the available Unix file system to change the file permissions of a Unix file? And next question is what are the links and symbolic links in Unix file systems? And the third question is explain the chow and chgrp commands in Unix with an example. These are the three important questions related to this session. Okay, thank you for watching.